Hey, what's going on? Welcome into the Huddle Up Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Sharper. We will talk all things NFL. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment. I love to interact with you guys. On today's episode, I want to talk about the NFL playoffs and, more importantly, my personal Super Bowl favorite. I think there's a new one, and it is a very unsurprising team. So all season long, I have bought into Josh Allen being the number one guaranteed MVP and the Buffalo Bills being the best team in the NFL. This has nothing to do with what the Buffalo Bills have done because they're still winning football games. The bigger issue I have is that they are not the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you looked at the Chiefs all throughout the season, right? They were winning 1 point, 2 point, 3 point games all year long, seemingly getting bailed out and getting lucky break after lucky break after lucky break. But my tune has completely changed on this team. And I'm not going to call myself a Chiefs hater, but I'm also not one of those glazers, quote unquote, that just loves everything the Kansas City Chiefs do. I think good teams have to have a little bit of luck involved. But I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. And here's why. This team is getting better. They're not having the 2 to 3 point victories. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now. And this team is getting better. You saw them on the Christmas Day game, a double-digit victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have already locked up a playoff spot in their own right. Now, the Steelers have lost 3 games in 11 days. But on the flip side of it, the Chiefs have won 3 games in 11 days. There was a stat that came out the other day that said there's only about 4 or 5 teams in the NFL that have yet to score more than 30 points in any game this season. Now, the Chiefs have scored 30 twice, but they've never scored over 30. Here's the teams in their record. The 2-13 Giants, the 3-12 Raiders, the 3-12 Patriots, and the 15-1 Kansas City Chiefs. That tells me everything I need to know, not just Patrick Mahomes in this offense, but what kind of team they have in Kansas City. Obviously, you have Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid, the championship pedigree, the guys that know how to win the big games because they've been there, done that. They've won 3 Super Bowls together already. But Steve Spagnuolo in that defense has been incredible. And honestly, part of this was because of that Tyreek Hill trade. A lot of people, myself included, were like, wait a minute, you're trading Tyreek Hill on a team that's already short of wide receivers. You're not replacing him with that bona fide number 1 option. This is a mistake. They've won Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill, and in doing that, they turned it into 3 draft picks that were all selected defensive players, one of which is George Karlaftis, who has had a phenomenal season. But again, you can say, okay, well, they've never scored 30 points in a game this season, or over 30. All the other teams have losing records. It's all the refs, right? The refs love the Kansas City Chiefs. They get lucky breaks. And, I was in that camp for quite some time, but when are we going to start giving the Kansas City Chiefs credit? When are we going to accept the fact that good teams know how to win close games? What do they say? Good teams find a way to win. Bad teams find a way to lose. The Kansas City Chiefs find a way to win week after week after week. And sure, is there a lucky break here and there? Sure, luck is involved in every team throughout history's Super Bowl run. They had a little bit of luck to get there. But the Kansas City Chiefs, if you make the slightest mistake against them, they're going to take advantage of it. They're going to punish you, and they're going to win that game. They have done it time and time again. Now, again, I love the Buffalo Bills. I think Josh Allen this year is playing like the best quarterback in the NFL. Here's the problem, though. With that win against the Steelers, the Kansas City Chiefs have now locked up the number 1 seed in the AFC. So not only did they get that first round bye, but whatever team beats them is going to have to beat them in Arrowhead, where they are damn good. That's why Joe Burrow and the Bengals got so much credit a few years ago for beating the Chiefs in the playoffs. It wasn't just that you beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You beat them in Arrowhead Stadium in a building that they don't lose very often. Everybody gave the Buffalo Bills a ton of credit earlier in the season. About a month ago when they played the Chiefs head-to-head, they looked like the better team. They controlled the game, and they ultimately won that game. That game was in Buffalo. Josh Allen and the Bills, while Josh Allen has performed well in the playoffs, have not had a ton of success going to Arrowhead Stadium. And I don't think Lamar and the Ravens are it. As good as they've looked bad at times as well. They're a little too inconsistent for me. So if you want to say the top 3 teams in the AFC are the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens, I'm totally fine with that. But you can't sit here today, honestly, without being a hater of the Kansas City Chiefs and saying that this team doesn't have a huge advantage over those other two based on their coach, based on their quarterback, and based on the home field advantage they're having in the playoffs. All year long, I have been waiting for the Kansas City Chiefs to make a mistake. I thought it was going to be the Denver Broncos game. We remember that when the Broncos had them on the ropes. The Broncos were going down to kick a 35-yard field goal to win that game. And what happened? Somebody on the Chiefs step up. They block the field goal. The Chiefs win it by 1 point. game after game. If the game is close, the Chiefs find a way to win the game. A stat came out a few weeks ago. Now, it's not true anymore because the Chiefs have kind of controlled the last 2 or 3 games they played. But 3 weeks ago, a stat came out saying if you take away the last 2 minutes of every NFL game this season, the Kansas City Chiefs will have the worst record in the NFL. It tells me 2 things. One, the Chiefs get off to abysmal starts in the first half, and they're going to have to fix that if they want to be truly elite. But also, they find ways to come back and win. They find ways to get victories in these close games. Most playoff games are close games. This team is battle-tested. They've won a lot of close games. They're at home in Arrowhead Stadium where they rarely lose. Again, I hope I'm wrong, not because I'm a hater of the Chiefs. I just like to see different teams win, but unless you can convince me otherwise that Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are going to go into that stadium and beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, I got to pick the Chiefs to repeat as champs for the 3rd straight year. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Huddle Up Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Sharp. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, whatever you do it. I love to interact with listeners, viewers of this show, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of the Huddle Up Podcast.